main reason I'm making this video today talking about steroids because a lot of kids, and not only kids, insisting that I was the first guy to build a 21-inch arm, and they're insisting that I use steroids because they're steroid crazy. You see, today, these fellas think that the only way you could build your body is with steroids. But let me tell you something. Steroids don't build, it enhance, it don't make. Now, I'm not condemning steroids because I think what the assault on steroids is ridiculous, not poison. Steroids has its place used properly. The only reason I didn't get to using steroids because they came into vogue after I got my ankle severed in the motorcycle. Now, if you go to my website, you'll see my story, and it'll tell you what happened and how young I was, and it wasn't at that time 21. My arms got 21 after I got my ankle severed. But the point is this: you got to remember, steroids, and it gets me sometimes. I know, because I'm informing. I'm in this to inform, not to be a comedian, not to play games. It's my nature because I started this when they frowned upon bodybuilding, when bodybuilders were considered dumb, when the bodybuilders were considered stiff. Bodybuilders, that's when I started, in the ancient part where they were looked down upon. And I've always tried, and what we did from the years is learn how to maximize nutrition, maximize our protein. And you know something? Even though we ate massive amount of proteins and really didn't hook to how important it was, because there was no such thing as sports nutrition in those days. In those days, you just eat till you got full. But the point is, you have to remember, and you guys, you kids especially, not kids, but most guys don't realize steroids are not magical. I have guys come in here and tell me, they should take all of Lance Armstrong's muscles. He got it in steroids. Let me tell you something. People that say that don't do 1 second worth of thinking. If steroids were so magical, there'd be 100 Lance Armstrongs. There'd be 200 Barry Bonds. Why comes only one? They all use it. It's simply because steroids enhance it, don't make. Now, if you're a champion, it'll enhance your championship, but it won't make you. Now, if steroids were banned, nobody used it. Lance and Barry would still hit more home. Barry Bonds would hit more home runs than any of these other guys, and Lance would do better in the Tour de France than any of these guys. They wouldn't do quite as huge as they do because of the steroids, but they'd still be the champion. So steroids, don't get wrapped up thinking anytime you see a guy with a pimple on his arm, he got it from steroids. Like somehow all you got to do is take some steroids, read the paper, and you grow. Steroids is just an enhancer. It's not a maker. And you guys got to understand that and don't get wrapped up. I was annoyed, really, because I said, hey, these guys, the so-called know-it-alls. Oh, he used steroids. Now, let me tell you something. If I was competing, I would have used it. I have nothing against steroids. And you know something? Well, a lot of you guys, the big mouths and the ones that know everything, the banning of steroids was opposed by every major regulating agency, the FDA, the DEA, the AMA. And initially I thought that those organizations was behind it. They have to enforce it because the 3-cent congressman decided to make it illegal. But the agency said if it's not addictive, then how are you going to make it illegal? But Congress can do anything they want. Because I used to say, why is Congress going after these athletes? What do they got to do with what an athlete take? And I was puzzled until I found out that these mothers or whoever, they decide, because they pass a law against it, that way they placate everybody. They made more problems by banning it than leaving it alone, because a lot of these bodybuilders are killing themselves taking too much of that. Doctors are scared to touch it. They don't want to go to jail. They're afraid it's a controlled substance, not based on being addictive, but based on Congress passing a law. And doctors, because if you control it, these guys, when you're having all these adverse effects, they're taking too much, and what it just overwhelms the body. See, steroids make the body work more efficiently. It was never developed for athletes. We develop for people with cirrhosis of the liver, people with digestive problems, brain victims, because they were literally wasting away because they could not break the protein down to nitrogen to be utilized. And you can get every substance known to man. And if you didn't get any protein, every nutritional substance known to man, and you took protein out of your diet, you would be able to get out of bed. That's how crucial protein is. The only substance in our diet that repair and maintain muscle tissue is protein. So what happens with the sick people, they weren't able to hold it because the system was out of whack. So steroids developed to hold it in the muscle, which the end product is nitrogen. And that's why these guys get so freaky from it, because it's like fertilizer. It makes you stronger, but it doesn't give you skills. And I get, it annoys me so when I hear these people say, oh, one for steroids, they don't have any concept of what they're talking about. You know, and steroids don't build, it enhances. And you know something? If creatine, they would ban creatine. Okay, take creatine, that's an enhancer. Not as dramatic as steroids. How come they don't ban that? And you know something, the thing, if they didn't ban it, it would be better because everything would be, the people that don't want to take it, that's their problem. It's just like a guy saying, oh, I don't want to take protein, or I don't want to take creatine. Don't take it. But I tell you one thing, they'll all be taking it, and you know what? It'll line up just like it is now, and it'll be less sick people. A lot of these guys ruin their joints, their heart, their internal organs, overdosing on steroids because they cannot be monitored because the doctors don't want to touch it. And they're doing more harm than good. The same as prohibition when they try to ban liquor. They do that all the time, passing laws thinking that's going to solve the problem. It doesn't. And I feel bad about it because this is my life, fellas. Let me tell you something. And that's why I'm here to inform, not to sell. I see some of these guys on the heartstrings, they say, I'm saying what I say to sell vitamins. Hey, I don't need that. I've been in this over 50 years. What I got? I'd rather help you than try to sell you something. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to help. And that's why I say when I hear people knocking steroids, all I say, remember one thing. And I didn't. And I'll tell you something. If I took the steroid, I don't have anything against steroids. I don't have to lie. Whatever. I'm not taking heroin. I haven't raped anybody. I don't have to lie. If I was taking them, I took them, I took them. I tell you. But what happened is we maximized protein, which kept a positive nitrogen balance. And that's the key to muscle growth. But we didn't know it then. We just knew the more beef we ate, the more cottage cheese and eggs we ate, the stronger we got. So we ate more of it. And we didn't connect it with protein because nobody talked about it. And guys would have, you say steak and potatoes was a big thing in those days, especially with athletes, because of the creatine in the steak. There's no creatine in chicken. So we would notice that when we ate chicken, it felt good. But when we ate steak, we pumped better. You had no idea it was because of the creatine. See? So that's what I just want to clear that up with some of you guys that's insisting that I take steroids and hiding it. Just because your mind say any arm bigger than 12 inches or something, they're taking steroids. I mean, you're steroid crazy. And the point is, you're steroid crazy, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's what annoys me the most. Oh, steroids. Like it's some magic. Well, then how come? And a lot of these guys, a lot of these young fellas, they take steroids waiting for the muscles to go in the gym, do two hits curls around my muscle. I mean, it's crazy. But that's about it. That's what I wanted to get across. I did not use steroids. I don't care if you believe it or not. But I did not use it, and I'm telling you I didn't use it, not because I thought it was terrible or hiding, but it didn't do me any good. I'm not competing. If you're not competing, you take steroids, you're nuts. If you're just a regular guy want to stay in shape, you take steroids, it doesn't make any sense. Because what it does is enhance the efficiency of the body to utilize protein, as I said before. So I'm just telling you, the main reason I'm making this video is because there's so many guys insisting that I'm lying about the steroids. For what? What do I have to lie for? Even Arnold admitted taking steroids, but Arnold came after me. And I'm going to not admit it for what think about it. But you know what? Everybody have a herd mentality. The herd mentality is to believe steroids are bad. And you don't even stop to think it out. But that's the way it goes. So anyhow, That's my take on me. Not and the main reason I'm making this is to tell you, to try to inform you guys, it's so much insisting that I'm a steroid user and don't want to admit it. Oh, that's so stupid and petty. What am I doing? Come on. You know, if I was, it serves no purpose. But I'll tell you, if it was available and I was competing, oh, buddy, you couldn't make enough. I probably wouldn't be around talking to you now. But if I was competing, and the steroids, boy, you need to give me a bucket of them. Because I was obsessed with bodybuilding. I was obsessed with building. And steroids came along. You think I'm going to sit back and say, oh, I'm not going to take it? For what reason? It enhances, it don't make. Remember that.